Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is video number 2 in our retro summer flip book by Simple Stories and Button Farm Club. So today what we're gonna do is we are gonna go through the cutting guide and we're gonna start cutting the elements for the project, okay? So let's take a second to flip through this book. I call it a book because it's 20 pages long. This has class notes. That's my dog jumping onto the couch. So here it says, along with these instructions, please refer to the pre-cutting instructions and color images to help guide you through the class. The color images will help you know which papers to use after you've cut your paper apart and which embellishments to pick from. It's also great for knowing placement when dimensions are hard to list out exactly or don't seem to fit as you like. So you're basically going to be, this is your, for lack of a better term, your Bible, and has all the information that you're going to need to properly have everything cut for you, okay? It says that, it goes through and says that this album has many pages. We find it easier to design each page as you go, and the order of the page protectors will change from the way your book came. So they recommend doing one page at a time. I don't like to do that. It says you can take all the pages out, set them aside, and look for them one at a time, or keep them stored in the book and remove them to the correct style as you go. With our flip books, it might be easier to take the book apart and put it back together when you've completed the project. Also, keeping your embellishments separated by pack or keeping the packaging on hand will help you know which pieces you're looking for as we reference them by pack throughout these instructions. Last, we do a lot of layering, so it's ideal to have your photos ready to go. That's another thing that we don't do. I don't do. I'll show you, talk about that later. And then it goes again through the kit contents, the things you'll need, and it says, note, we did, okay, so they have different buttons here. Additional supplies needed, if you wanted a different ribbon option, baker's twine, more buttons, that kind of thing, you can add. Okay, so the way that I do it is I do all my cutting and then I go back and go through each page and put together and pull all the elements for page 1 and have it together. And then I pull all the elements for page 2 and then I put it together, which you'll see that's how they do it in the kits where they already cut everything for you. And I find that that's the easiest. Instead of having to dig through everything every time, I get everything cut and then I'll pull everything for page 1 and label that page 1. And then I'll get everything together for page 2 and label that page 2. And then we'll go and do it. Okay, so that being said, we're gonna start with this 6x8 pad because it has, this page is for the 6x8 pad, which you have 12 pieces of, and it shows you what to cut them into. And then these are for the 5 colored cardstock pieces. So if let's pull these out a second and pull all these pages out. So here we have the summer. This first page says summer checklist, and it looks like you're going to use this whole page. So this whole page is going to be probably in one of those, this is not tearing apart very easy, in one of those either 6x8 page covers, or they're going to make this into its own page. Now another note is I do take a sliver off the top of all of these pages because I can't stand the rubber thing on there. So I will do that before I start doing anything. So we're gonna tear that apart. So that one is a whole page. It says right here. The next one is this Pool House page. And it looks like this one we're just gonna be cutting in half, so that's easy. This one is the Ice Cream Sundae page, that is like the cutest paper ever. And it looks like we are cutting this in half. And we're gonna use the top 4x6 part, but this bottom is gonna be extra, okay? This we're using the whole page for because it is cute decoration page saying soaking up the sun, and it kind of looks like a guitar. Doesn't Elvis's pool look like a guitar? I think Elvis's pool looks like a guitar too. Anyway, this one is also cut in half right here. So you're gonna use this half and this half. This ice cream page is going to be cut in half, and you're gonna use a 4x6. But then instead of using the whole bottom, you're only gonna cut a 1x6 strip right here. And so you're gonna have this 3x6 extra piece. Excuse me. So here's another decor piece. So this one is Time for Lemonade. That looks like that's gonna be like a piece of art inside of the album. What is this? Okay, I do not know what this picture is. Stripes, hot pink grid. What is this? This has got some special stuff going on here, so I don't really understand. What does it say? Photo corner, inside pocket. Okay, so this paper is actually going to be made into a pocket, it looks like. So we're going to be slicing it from corner to corner. So we're going to make like a triangular pocket, and then what's left, we're going to be cutting out a piece of 3x4, and then in the corner of that is a little pocket, a little photo corner. So, but that's what's cool about this, is it shows you everything that you're going to be doing, and it tells you everything that you're going to be doing. So, I mean, I don't know if you could see that, but it tells you everything you're going to do. So, and gives you a visual of how to cut it. So that's pretty cool. Then our next whole page is here, which is the sun. So that's really pretty. We're not using this picture, which is really sad, but we're using the back side, which is the teal grid. We're going to be cutting it in half this way using a 4x6, and then cutting the bottom half in half again to make a 3x4, two 3x4s. Okay, so these are the last two sheets in the pack, and looks like these are cut aparts. And we're only going to be using a few of these. We're only going to be using these two. So the Just Chillin' and the Yum, and then we're not going to be using these two. And then over here, we are not going to be using this one, but we're going to be using these three. So we're basically just cutting them apart. So that is that. So that is super simple. So I'm going to take a second to trim all these off first, and then I'll come back and we'll cut these together. Okay, so I'm back with my trims, and this is how skinny I trimmed off the tops of these. They're super, super, super thin. A couple of them had to be thicker because they had like the big glob of glue on them, but for the most part, all I did was take the tiniest hair off the top of each of the pieces that are on the pad of paper. Unfortunately, with some pads of paper, that's just what happens. Okay, so now that we have our papers, let's do this again, for real this time. So this guy is a whole page, so we're just gonna remove him here. This guy is a 4x6 or 4x6. So we're gonna just cut him in half right here at 4 inches. So right there we go. So there's our two 4x6s, okay? So that one's done. Then we have this one, which is where we're gonna cut it 4x6, and this bottom piece is gonna be extra. So cut it again at 4 inches. We're gonna put this guy aside, and then we're gonna keep that guy, put that over here in I'm just putting it in a pile face down off camera here. This one is another full page, so we're gonna put that there. This one is directly in half, and this one's easy because it's got a line. So, but it's not exactly 4x6 by 4x6. So let's see. 1, 2. Well, you know what? We're gonna cut it for now, right on the line like it shows in the picture. because I wanted to have this gold on here. Okay, even though these are not, you can see these are not exactly 4 by 6 by 4 by 6, but that's how it showed me to do it, and we'll figure it out later if it doesn't work out. Now we have this one. This is the one where we are gonna have 4 by 6 and then just a 1 by 6 strip. So that one's easy. We just cut this one in half. And then we cut it at, cut another inch off of that like this. So these are the 2 pieces that we're gonna use. Goes on our pile, and then this is the extra that we're just gonna put over here on our pile of extra. Then we have another whole page here. Put that aside. Now we have this guy. Okay, so on this one, we're going to be cutting it from corner to corner. So what I do is I am just gonna line up my corner to my corner like this. Give it a cut perfectly in half like that, right? Okay, so that's that. Then it wants me to cut a 3 by 4 out of this. So let's do this at 4 inches like this, and this at 3 inches. And you can see that it looks just like the picture says. So we have this piece, which is this. We have the card, which is this. We have this piece, which is this. And then we're gonna just cut off a corner here. It looks like, I don't even know exactly how big that's gonna be, so I'm actually gonna just keep that to the side. So this is extra, so I'm gonna put this over in my extra, and these I'm just gonna keep together because I don't know how big we want this corner to be. So there's that one. And we've got this guy who's a whole page. He's done. This is the one that we're actually gonna use the back of, and we're gonna do a 4 by 6 and then 2 3 by 4s. So that's simple. So cut it in half and then cut it in half again this way. Okay, so that's done. And then here we're going to be cutting these apart. Now I have a quick thing that I do. I don't like to see any other paper on another piece of paper, if that makes sense. So if I were to cut these out like this, I'm gonna see maybe a little bit of blue. What I like to do is I like to cut a little bit onto the inside of it on one part. So here, if I were to really focus in, and I don't want to because it's gonna mess up my camera angle, but there's just the tiniest bit of pink on the other side of the trimmer. So when I trim this, you're gonna see that there's just the littlest bit of pink on, I can't get it, I don't know how to do it, on the other side here. But that means that there isn't any on here. So then I take this one and I trim it the same way, where there's just a little bit of color on the other side, and it just trims that right off. So neither card has another color on it. That's like one of my pet peeves. I hate that. So I always do what I can to, sorry if my head's in the way, to avoid that as much as possible. So this one we're not using. Put that one aside. We are using Yum. Pick it up. So we're using this guy, and we're not going to use this one. We're going to use this one. So again, just take a little bit over the bottom. Perfect. Okay. And then this one we're not using. Put that one aside. And then same thing with the sky. So the only one we're not using is this one. So I'm going to like that. And I still didn't trim enough off there. Okay. And then this one. So we're going to be using this one, and we're going to be using the So Sweet. So I want to make sure that that one doesn't have any, that doesn't have anything on it, and then trim the sky off. Okay. And hello. And this one we're not using. So these are all of the pieces of paper that we're using. So we have everything all cut out. I don't have anything labeled yet, but this is our stack of paper for that. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do with any kind of paper at all is you want to make sure that it is square. Especially ones like this that have the little trim part up here at the top. You could trim that off and it still may not be 12 by 12. You want to make sure that these pages are 12 by 12 square. So that's the first thing that we're going to do. So I'm going to put each page in here and we're going to square it up. 12 by 12, 12 by 12. See, it's just this little bit got trimmed off, but this is now 12 by 12. And that's what we're gonna do for all of these. So it's gonna give me a quick moment. You wanna make sure that you cut it on, you're gonna cut this little sliver off the top. And on this side as well, just a 12 by 12. See that cut? It just cut this tiny little bit off, but it's still, that's how much it wasn't square. So just trim all of these pieces. Okay, so we're gonna square up the rest of these. I'm telling you what, kids that get up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, making me nuts. Wow, that one really wasn't square. See how much? So it's a good practice to have, even if, you know, with any project that you do and with any paper. It doesn't even have to be any that has this thing on top of it. Any paper, you want to make sure that it is squared up to whatever size you need it to be. But I'm going to show you something here really quick about this to get all these. So this particular paper you saw, it had that little branding strip up at the top. Okay, so these are the 5 branding strips that we trimmed off. Ugh. And you can see that each of them has a different amount of color at the bottom of them. Try to show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so you can see that pink hardly had any. In fact, there's still some white on the pink 12 by 12 piece. That's the green, it had a lot. That's the brown, it didn't have a ton. The orange one was pretty perfect, and then the yellow. So that is how off they are. So that can make a big difference. So you wanna go ahead and keep these because these are perfectly good strips of paper on each side to use for something else. So we're gonna keep those over there. Okay, so starting with the orange piece of paper. And does it say? It doesn't. Okay, so on this orange piece of paper, we're gonna have a big page here that's 7 1/4 by 8 3/4. So we're gonna do the big cut first. So we're gonna cut over 7 1/4. So let's line that up at 7 1/4. Okay, so this is extra. I'm gonna put it aside. So then let's go ahead and cut out the 8 3/4. So come over here. line it up at 8 3/4. And that's what this is. So this is the 7 1/4 by 8 3/4. And then from this, we need to cut a 3x4. Okay, so it's gonna be a little bit off the 3-inch mark here by 4. Okay, and so this is your excess. So these are your extra pieces. I'll throw over there. Okay, so orange is done. Then we have the pool. Well, let's do pool next. So for pool, we're gonna be doing, let's see, 8, 9. So we're gonna cut this at 9 inches. And that leaves us this big piece down here at the bottom that we're not gonna be using, okay? So that's 9. Then we're gonna cut this at 4. And 4 again. Four and 4 again. This one is gonna be cut at 6 inches. So you have a 4 by 6 right here. And then you're gonna cut this one in half to make 2 3x4s. Okay, and then this one is the same thing. It's a 4 by 6. But then we're only gonna use one of the 3x4s from this part. And this one's extra. And then from this strip, we're gonna cut a 3-inch strip. So we have a 1 by 3, which is right here. Okay, and then we're gonna have a 1 by 2. And we're gonna have a 1 by 6. And this would be your extra, which I'll stick it in the extra, but I won't ever use that. Okay, so then we got our pool done. Now let's do sunshine, which is this guy. Okay, this one's a little cattywampus here. So let's cut this first one at 4 inches to get our 3x4s. Okay, so there's that. And then 3x4, so that's these two. So this 4 by 6 we're not using, I'll put that aside. Then, let's see, the easiest way to do this would be cut it at 3.5, 4.5. So let's cut this at 4.5. Now, see, this is the other thing, is that you only get one of these. So if you were to mess this up, then you're gonna have to go out and buy yourself another color. So that's why you gotta be really careful when you're doing these cutting guides. And I cannot tell you how many times I've messed them up. The first one was easy. The second one is a little harder. It looks like we're cutting into different things here. So, all right, so this one, we're gonna do this a little different. We're gonna at 1 inch here, we're gonna go in 8 inches, because this is 6 and this is 8. So I have it in at 1 inch. We're gonna go in 6 inches. So, or 8 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm gonna cut to right here, like that. And then at 8, it's right here. So we're just gonna trim that like that. All right. And then trim this down. Okay, so this is what my paper looks like right now. So I've done these two pieces here, right here, these little guys. Is that 2 inches? Yep. Okay, and then this one is a 3x4, which I've cut into a little bit, but that's all right. I'm not gonna worry about it. So So let's take this guy over 4 inches. Let's see, over 3 inches to that. And what do? You have to kind of finagle it a little bit. Ugh. I don't even know what to do with that. All right, we'll figure that out. Okay, so then over here, 3.5 by 5.5. That's what this one is. So that is this piece here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 by 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then down here I need 5 3/4 by 3 1/4. So let's see, 3 3/4 by 5 and by 5 and jeez. I don't know where the 5 3/4 is on this. Let's see, 5. Yeah, okay. So this one is this one here, the 5 3/4. So then I still have this guy. So even though I messed this up right here, I cut into it, I have enough room here. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut a 3 by 4. Okay, so that one was a little crazy. So this is what I ended up with. I have this left of the sunshine. So that one's a little difficult. I would definitely take my time with that one. Bubble gum is the pink one. So this one's easy, 4 by 6, 2 4 by 6s on the top. So cut 4 inches off and then cut that in half. Okay, so that's that. Then it says you're gonna have a 6 by 8 that you're gonna score in half. So we need to make sure that this is 6 inches here this way. Where are we at? Here. Okay, so 6 inches this way. Like this. Then 8 inches this way. This way. Okay, and then this is this piece here that's going to be scored in half. Okay, so that's that. And then I have a 3 by 4. So we have just cut a 3 by 4 off of that because that's already 4 inches. So there's a 3 by 4. So there's that. This is extra. And then down here, we need to cut a 1 inch strip, which, not fun at this level. Ooh, I don't like it. I've done that first. Oh well, what are you gonna do? Yeah, those little ones, you wanna make sure you get those really good. Okay, so this is excess, and then we're gonna cut a 1 by 2. So one is at 2 inches, like that, and one is at 3 inches, right here. Okay, so these are these 2 pieces down here. And this is the extra here. last but not least, the cinnamon. So the cinnamon is easy again, 4 inches. One is a 4x6, so one is at 6 inches. And then the other is one of these 3x4s. And then this is the extra piece here. Then we're gonna cut a 1-inch strip. So this is 4, 8. Okay, so cut this 1-inch strip into 1x6. So in half, essentially. Okay, so that is that, and this is extra. This is the extra part here. Here. And then this is 6 1/4 by 8 1/4. So let's go ahead and cut this down to 6 1/4. So this is this bottom strip here, that's extra. And then this is 8 1/4. This big extra strip here. So that's that. Okay, so we have now cut all of the colored pieces. Okay, so we have done all of our cutting, and now what we're going to be doing is going through, in the next video we're going to go through all of the decor that we have, and we're going to start putting pieces together that go with each page. So for instance, let's just look at this for an example, okay? So this would be page 1, the back of page 1. Well, first of all, page 1 is going to be this summer checklist, okay? So what we would do is we would pull this, then we would go in and we would find all of the pieces. We would find the jar, we would find the sticker, we'd find all the elements for this page, put them together with this and label it page 1 front and put it aside. Then we would come to this page and it's the back of that. And we would go through and find this piece of ephemera. We would have these brads. We would have this pink photo frame or photo mat, or frame actually, and then we'll cut a piece of white paper for the photo mat and put that together and label that page inside page 1. And we're gonna do that for every piece. And this is where we can chat, because we're literally just looking and putting things together. And we're gonna be using Post-it notes. And by the time we get done, we're gonna have a stack of papers that are labeled page 1 all the way down, and we're just gonna be able to go boom, 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 and put this book together. This is how I like to do it. A lot of people like to do the way they said to do it, which is by each page at a time. I find that extremely confusing and time consuming. So anyway, I hope you liked this video, just to kind of show you how to go through the cutting guide. Again, if you're not familiar with cutting guides, I would look very carefully through it before you start cutting. And if you're very new to cutting guides, you might want to practice on another sheet of paper before you get into the kit's papers, because the kit's papers, this is all that you're going to have. You're not going to have any extra. So again, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to still continue watching this project as we finish it, you might want to think about subscribing. If you hit the subscribe button, I would appreciate it. And then in our next video, like I said, we will start putting together the pages. All right, hope you have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye.